thirst and a deep hunger in the mind and soul, for the voice of the storyteller sharing their tale. Yes, the words, but beyond mere words, to the whole wondrous, magical celebration that is storytelling. For you and I need stories as much as the body needs food and drink. Stories we read on a written page can be amazing, but even the great ones lack the powerful, energetic, passionate experience of the storyteller's tale. There is a vitality, a mindful eruption, an artistic explosion, a spiritual uproar.
You say artistic or artistic?
Huh? Artistic.
Okay, good.
A spiritual uproar, a thunder to bring that echoes in our ears and hearts when listening to the storyteller's arts and craft. An African shaman once said, information and facts start as truth and become lies. Stories start out as lies and become truth. The truth and wisdom of the stories is that storyteller reads, cries, laughs, booms, whispers, has no equal. The storyteller is far more than a historian, but history travels best on the wings of legends. The storyteller is far more than an entertainer, but no other performance can match its elegant simplicity. The storyteller, by design or coincidence, by synchronicity or serendipity, by chance, destiny, or fate, is the carrier of teachings, meaning, guidance, messages, that the young must discover and the not-so-young rediscover. Turn off your cell phone, iPod, laptop, TV, video game. Close the book you are reading, for now. Listen with your mind, heart, senses, and intuition. Open your very soul as the storyteller begins. Better yet, become the storyteller yourself. You start this journey by looking deeply within. Oh, delight, you will find the storyteller awaiting you.
Yay. Woo. So what does this poem say to you? What hits you about the poem?
I actually have a question.
You're just a cameraman. Does the union let you do this?
Well, no one else is asking.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
What does it mean information and facts start as truth and become lies? Stories start out as lies and become true.
Yeah, actually, I was going to go to that, even if you didn't. That's my favorite line in the poem. What does that mean?
It just feels really, I don't know what it means.
What does that mean?
It means what it says.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man after my own heart. That's what I always do. I always go, whenever you can ask people nobody go, well, what did you mean? I always go, just what I said. Yes! But for those of us that are not as enlightened as you as I, we'll go a little further. What does it mean?
I think that the information you put out in the world can become skewed and be taken all different ways, and it can turn ugly. But stories start out as just fun things to tell, and then there's meaning in that. There's messages.
Well, the story taps into something. Facts and statistics, and if we were a different age and we were sick, we put a leech in our mouths or nose. We believe the earth was flat. You know, it's like, one day you should eat a lot of eggs, it's good for cholesterol, one day it isn't. Drink wine and beer, it's good for your blood pressure, it isn't. So whatever the facts they're telling us are, that's the statistic and the facts. Well, how can you argue with them? And then we find out later on, I've been arguing since the 70s not to use antidepressants. Well before, and I've taken many hits for that there's no need for antidepressant, anti-anxiety agents. Okay? Well, I'm an extremist, I'm a radical, I won't go the whole rant. Well, now that the studies come out, that it didn't do anything, I look brilliant. In fact, the latest study, I have it on in my office, they did a study where they told people they were taking placebos, and they did better than the people with the drugs or the people that didn't know they were taking placebos. Does that shatter your mind? So you're taking an antidepressant, or a drug. You're taking one you think is, and I tell you, this is a sugar pill. And you do better. I think it's the unconscious going like this to the pharmaceutical industry. The whole unconscious going. I really think it is.
What about the kids who have ADHD? They're supposed to. They're supposed to be all
Okay.
over the place.
In the studies they've done at the University of Chicago, which is conservative, what of kids that are labeled ADHD, ADD doesn't exist, by the way. If you use the DSM-4 on what ADD is, every one of us have it here in the world. Okay, try to watch an old movie, you'll see what I mean. It's just going. Okay, 5% of kids with ADHD have it. To really have ADHD is a neurological problem, okay? I have challenged hundreds and hundreds of parents, okay? Take the same kids that are taking the medication, get them off processed sugar and processed salt, and limit their TV and video time, and each one of them was fine, and I swear. But you don't want to do it. It's hard to get that food. It's easy to go to McDonald's. It's hard to be with your kids. It's easy to have them plug in a video. It's bullshit. It's laziness. And then what we call ADD is a shanda. What's shanda mean?
It's like, what is it?
A sin.
Sin.
A sin. It's a shanda what we do with kids. Because we don't have time, you know, to do it. And you don't know how many parents I've recommended this to through the great work of Dr. Feingold without using medication. And a parent will say, listen, I don't have time for this. It's just easy to use a drug and get Taco Bell.
Bring them outside.
Yes. No. The outer world's dangerous.
Germs.
Okay, let's go back and it's time to pick a story. True tattoos, what else?
A very different myth of Narcissus.
The contest
Buddha and
between
the
Zen
serial
master
killer.
and
What?
magician. The contest between the Zen master and the magician.
The horrible hurricane anger and terrible tornado fear.
I'm gonna go with that one. I just got these rattles last night. Well, I got these rattles before, and I'm doing a Bear Eagle Vision Quest in Sedona. I leave next Saturday. Woo-hoo! Be my 19th Vision Quest I'm gonna guide. What the hell is a Russian Jew from New York who's white guiding a Vision Quest? I don't have a fucking clue, but it works amazingly, does it not? Okay. Woo! So this one is look at the art on these. Isn't it incredible? Sorry, So-So just brought it back last night for me. Isn't that awesome? So in this small village, it was a small farming village, they heard that a horrible hurricane of anger and a terrible tornado of fear was going to come, and it was going to destroy the village. And they really didn't have a lot of time. Well, the people in the village didn't know what to do, because the horrible hurricane anger and the terrible tornado fear was just going to come and devastate them. So they decided to have a town meeting, and everyone in the town came except Lee. Lee knew that the horrible hurricane anger and a terrible tornado fear was going to come, but he continued with his family and taking care of his crops and animals. And as people passed his farm to go to the town meeting, they would say, Lee, stop being stupid. The horrible hurricane anger is coming, and the terrible tornado fear is going to come. Lee would smile, they would go, what an idiot. And they went to the meeting. Well, at the meeting, they were hopelessly divided. When the horrible hurricane anger and a terrible tornado fear came, half the people in the village just wanted to leave. Leave their home, leave their crops, leave their homelands, and get out, at least they'd have their lives. And half wanted to dig fallout shelters. Their crops would go bad or the animals would go bad, but at least they'd be safe. Well, since the village was hopelessly divided, half started to leave and half started to dig into the ground. Well, as the people were leaving, they passed Lee's farm, and they go, Lee, the horrible hurricane anger and the terrible tornado fear is going to come, and it's going to kill you and your family. Come with us. Lee would smile, wave and say, no, I'm doing what I need to do. They'd go, what an idiot. And they left. Well, it was 2 days before the terrible tornado fear and the horrible hurricane anger was going to come. And the people who dealt the fallout shelters came to Lee, said, Lee, even though you were stupid and you didn't get a shelter, come to our shelter. You don't want to die from the horrible hurricane anger and the terrible tornado fear. Lee thanked them, but he waved his hand and smiled, and they went back. Well, the day came, and the horrible hurricane anger was coming, and the terrible tornado fear was coming. And where did it come first but to Lee's farm? And it came! The horrible hurricane anger and the terrible tornado fear came, and Lee was in the farm, and he looked up, and he went, and they disappeared. So remember the time for tea story? Okay, I tell those two stories, they're two of my favorites. 2 times when you have young kids in the winter in Chicago, don't judge me. I hate shopping malls. You take kids to shopping malls. You have to have somewhere for them to walk around and get their energy. Twice I was in a shopping mall, and I swear, and I'm walking, a woman comes up to me and she goes, and I go, ma'am, what are you doing? She goes, and I keep walking. She goes, when you told that story, and since then I've been doing a lot of. And another time, I swear, I was walking to shop with my kids, and a woman came up and said, I've been having a lot of tea lately. I said, well, that's good. And I just kept walking, and she followed me. I swear, she followed me and said, no, really, but I go, what are you talking about? So what is the horrible hurricane anger and the terrible tornado fear about?
Don't run away from your problems.
You got to confront or what? Yes. What else?
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
How so?
Like they saw or they imagined the fear coming and it came upon them anyway. Like they made their own fear.
So what was Lee doing? What is your name?
Max.
That's very good, Max. What was Lee doing? I'm not patting you on the head. It was good. You know, I didn't pat you on the head. It was a genuine good. It wasn't gratuitous. It was a good. It wasn't a good. Okay? So what was Lee doing when he went? I mean, could you blow away a hurricane and a tornado by going? So what was he blowing away? Where was the hurricane or tornado coming from?
It was inside of him.
What?
Their minds.
So what was he doing when he went? He wasn't pushing the hurricane or tornado away. What was he doing?
He was getting out of himself.
He was getting it out. We project our fears. We project our angers onto the world. We can do that with blacks or gays or whatever we want to do it with. You know, or like this teabagging fucking insanity, you know? We can just project our shit onto anyone we want. You know, the National Endowment of the Arts gets 0.0000045%. And it's destroying the American economy. Destroying. Planned Parenthood gets 0.00002.5%. We have to cut it. Meanwhile, the top 500 families in America, okay, the top 400 families in America have 50% of the wealth. When do we become Egypt? When do people like you, when you get out with all your loans, how do these schools keep teaching people? You know, in social work, there's 6 social work schools in the area, and there's 10 jobs open for the graduates. There are 18 schools giving out degrees to teach, okay, and there are 22 jobs. And there are 18 colleges in the Chicago area giving out teaching degrees. At what point do we become Egypt? I'm serious. Is that not true? At what point are young people, educated people, going to take this? To have hundreds of thousands of dollars of loans and no jobs? I mean, you didn't come to you didn't come here to work at Starbucks, I would imagine. You could have did that before, right? And if you have to work at Applebee's, it's all over. I mean, it's all over. Okay, back to the program.